Hi, I'm Jason from Harvard University. My co-presenter is Nader Babakr from the Director of Antiquities of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. We had intended to present on the history of settlement on the Erbil Plain, the Kurdistan region of Iraq, using new data from our full-scale summer 2020 field season. Now, obviously, that hasn't been possible because of the global pandemic and the restrictions on travel that follow them. We will, however, be able to present some of the new things that we've been doing within our project since last fall. So our presentation will proceed as follows. We'll begin by talking about some of the changes and enhancements we've made to our project's data organization, especially how we have pushed our data into the cloud for maximum accessibility. We'll describe two new geodata sets that have dramatically enhanced our work. We will describe some ongoing research projects within the EPAS project. And finally, we'll talk about some field work that's happening right now, the fall 2020 EPAS field season. So since the end of our last field season in fall 2019, our project has dedicated a lot of energy to curating its 6 full field seasons of survey data. Our goals have been standardization, translation, and accessibility. One of the primary ways we make our data accessible is via the cloud. All EPAS data exists in the ArcGIS online platform. This includes vector data like the points, lines, and polygons that we use to represent sites and other features, and also raster data sets like scanned maps, aerial photographs, and satellite images. We use groups with restricted membership to provide access. For example, our main group is the Erbil Plain Archaeological Survey group that you see here on the bottom. This group contains all project members who have read-only access to 100% of our data. We have 2 other groups for our core staff that offer differing levels of access for things like creating data, editing it, or deleting it. And finally, we have groups for the Director of Antiquities of the Erbil Governorate and also for the Director of Antiquities for the Kurdistan Regional Government. And these we use for sharing data with the antiquities authorities that supervise our research. Now, these maps and data sets are accessible on desktop PCs through the ArcGIS Pro application, as well as on a range of mobile devices and apps. Now, our full data set is available on a read-only manner to all project members via the ArcGIS Explorer app. In the field, our collection team views, creates, and modifies data in the Collector for ArcGIS app. When we are in cellular data coverage, new data and changes to existing features are visible to all team members in near real time. These mobile apps have revolutionized our team's ability to access our data. All team members have complete access to our full spatial data set at all times through their own smartphones. In the past year, we've placed a lot of emphasis on creating bilingual maps and data collection forms. Field collectors can collect data in either Kurdish or English. These new cloud-based data tools are being complemented by new data sets as well. And when I say new, I don't mean freshly created, but I mean new to us. For example, the first is an extensive set of Arabic cadastral maps, which were published between 1945 and 1946. These are at 1 to 10,000 scale maps. And they provided the basis for field work through the Director of Antiquities for decades. As you can see, some of them are in some pretty damaged condition. A project hosted in Erbil has been photographing these maps in high resolution so that we can bring them into a GIS framework and begin to remove the wealth of data that these contain, not just about ancient sites, tells, geared, but also early 20th century settlements and landscapes that no longer exist. For example, the amazing network of Karez water systems that has ceased to exist. Now, this map scanning and georeferencing project has completed dozens of 1 to 10,000 scale maps. Eventually, we hope to have a complete map of the Erbil Plain as it was mapped in the mid-1940s. Our second new data set is the KH9 Hexagon Intelligent Satellite Photography Program. This ran from 1971 to 1984. This is the successor of the Corona program, which has been so revolutionary for landscape archaeology across the Near East. Hexagon combines the footprint of the Corona satellite, this large area footprint, with the high resolution of the KH7 or Gambit satellite. So you can see here a large, likely to be Assyrian canal stretching between two watersheds. The sensitivity to water conditions in many missions is really remarkable. We are bringing about 12 different missions that covered the Erbil Plain into our geospatial data set. At this point, I'd like to turn to describe some of the ongoing research projects that we have within EPAS. These include targeted analyses, new dissertation projects, and pilot studies that we hope to expand in the future. I'll start with our Associate Director, Dr. Rocco Palermo of the University of Groningen. Rocco is an expert on the post-Assyrian imperial periods on the plain, particularly the Seleucid and Parthian periods. In addition to analyzing the settlement patterns from those time periods, Rocco is beginning work on our site number 6, Girdi Matrab, which is a major Seleucid and Hellenistic site in the region. Dr. Karol Nowacek has been with us since 2013, conducting analyses of the medieval Islamic urban settlement patterns, and also helping us to rationalize the ceramic chronology of the medieval Islamic periods. Shilan Ramand is a doctoral student at the University of Paris, studying Assyriology, and she's writing about the history and geography of the Middle Bronze Age in northern Mesopotamia for her dissertation. Our other associate director is Petra Creamer of the University of Pennsylvania. She's also researching the Middle Bronze Age settlement patterns, and she's also developing new 3D laser scanning protocols for our artifact collections. So Kyra Kircher from the University of Cambridge is interested in ceramic manufacturing and trade. Pottery from EPAS will feature in the petrographic analyses that she's conducting for her dissertation. And finally, Jordan Brown from the University of California at Berkeley joined us in 2019 to begin geoarchaeological studies on the plain. He intends to connect shifting river levels and alluviation patterns to climate change and human interventions, particularly at the time of the Assyrian Empire. Now, finally, I want to talk about actual new research. So despite the global pandemic, the Erbil Plain Archaeological Survey is having a fall 2020 field season. As I speak, the team is in the field. Now, it's not been possible for any of the foreign researchers to travel from the United States or Europe, but our local collaborators, our Erbil-based field team, has been taking up this challenge. So in this abbreviated season, we have a handful of goals. For one, our Erbil-based team is going to survey the Babakr region in the Kuştepe Nahya. This is a region immediately to the south of Erbil city on the plain. They're also going to conduct emergency survey within the development zone of Erbil, which despite the pandemic and despite an urban shutdown or an economic shutdown that's lasted about 5 years, it continues to develop very rapidly. The team is continuing to field test our digital and cloud-based data collection methods. Now, instead of with me supervising in person, me supervising remotely. And finally, this is mostly about capacity building for our local collaborators. They've had a lot of field experience over the last 6 seasons, but this is the year that they are getting proper supervisory experience without the foreign team members there. So let me introduce them to you. My co-presenter is Nader Babakr. He's also the co-director of the Erbil Plain Project and the director of antiquities for Erbil Governorate. With him is Bapir Rowanduzi, who is our translator, liaison, and driver for 6 field seasons. Aram Mohammed Amin, Mohammed Lashkari and Pishtiwan Ahmed are our long-term team members from Erbil. So the team is focusing on the Babakr region, this 80 square kilometers that you see right here. And also at the area of this dashed line that you see right here, this is the future 120-meter road, which will be the latest ring road around Erbil, which will destroy a lot of cultural heritage as it's being constructed. Now, the team has surveyed for about a week at this point, and we have some very, very preliminary results. For example, the team this year, our Kurdish collaborators have done the site identification from remote sensing themselves. Of the sites that they identified as potentially of interest, 17 of them turned out to be confirmed archaeological sites. Now, they visited another 32 sites, which proved to be non-sites. So that's about a 35% success rate with this. Now, that's low by our team's normal standards, but do bear in mind that this is the first time that this preliminary remote sensing-based site recognition process has been done by our Kurdish collaborators instead of by me. So this is a very impressive first step. So the team is visiting these sites and mapping them according to our standard protocols using ArcGIS Collector, including some largely Kurdish language maps that we prepared for this season. Collection is proceeding with lot designations as in the past. At the same time, our drone mapping team proceeds, producing, I think about half of the sites that have been collected thus far have also been mapped with high resolution overlapping vertical drone photographs. Now the collections from these sites are being brought back and washed and counted and weighed and photographed. What's missing this year is the artifact, the dating analysis, which is something that to date has only been done by me. So this has identified a real shortcoming in our training, and in future seasons, we need to train our Erbil-based team in ceramic analysis as well. A final thing I'd like to show is intensive surface collection being done at Site 6 Girdi Matrab. This is being done under the remote supervision of Rocco Palermo. And here the team has moved away from the sort of extensive collection method, full collection methods that we normally use to a more intensive and systematic sampling method that's been used elsewhere at large sites in the Near East. This site promises to produce very interesting data on the Seleucid, Hellenistic, and Parthian periods in the coming years. So I'll stop just to say that no, this is not the sort of presentation that Nader and I had intended to present to you, but we do see a lot of impressive movement forward, especially in the realm of collaboration. So despite the global pandemic, because our local collaborators are very well trained and have learned very quickly, it's still possible for us to do fieldwork, whether we foreigners are present or not. And we hope that in the future, we can expand these collaborations in greater ways. So finally, I would like to acknowledge the Kurdistan Regional Government for supporting and authorizing our work. I'd like to thank Harvard University and the University of Groningen for funding. I'd also like to thank the support of the US National Archives for giving us access to Hexagon and other sources. Other funders include the National Science Foundation, the National Geographic Society, and Dumbarton Oaks. So thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters, and thank you for listening.